Hey everybody, I'm Matt with Halloween Daily News, back with the second half of my new interview with writer, director, makeup effects artist extraordinaire, Damien Leone. In this installment, we talk more about the making of Terrifier and the challenges of independent filmmaking in general, a bit about what we can expect in the highly anticipated sequel, Terrifier 2, and finding the perfect leading lady to play a character that Damien says is his favorite character he's ever created. We also talk about what it feels like to be the mastermind behind a legit horror icon, what the future may hold beyond the Terrifier films, and a very special memory that he and I actually share about the late, great Sid Haig. Here's part two of my interview with Damien Leone. Just curious, and I think I know the answer, but was anything cut out of Terrifier that you didn't use, or was filmed that you didn't use for whatever reason?
The only thing that we really trimmed down was the movie initially opened with the actual talk show. It wasn't just like on the television, little bits and pieces. We were in like 7 minutes of the talk show, and you really got to hear Victoria's what the effect it's had on her and whatnot. And but I just did not like the way the makeup looked. Her makeup. I couldn't buy the audience just buying that for like 5 minutes or whatnot. So it's like we couldn't go and reshoot it or redo the makeup. So I was like trying to figure out a way to sort of obscure it or not show it as much. So I was like, oh, we'll put it on, maybe Art's watching it on this little TV, and I could put all the static in front of it and whatnot, catching glimpses. It'll be a lot creepier that way. So that was it. But no, I think everything's pretty much in the movie. Just little things here and there. There was a couple of things in the pizzeria. I think after the pizzeria, the owner throws Art out. He comes back to the table, and his arm's cut from throwing the bag, like one of Art's weapons, and the girls notice it and they point it out. And there was a cool line that Catherine said after she takes the selfie with him and she sits back down. She says to Jenna that he smells really bad, and I don't know why I didn't keep that in the movie. I wanted to keep that in there, but other than that, everything's pretty much in there.
And that was all practical, obviously, I guess. Like no computer enhancement anywhere.
There were a little computer enhancements.
Okay.
But that's like I love CGI, little tweaks like that.
Yeah.
When you can't tell, like the severed head, the jack-o'-lantern head.
Okay.
Like I CGI'd all like the burning. You see like the little fire and all that kind of stuff in there. I mean, that was CGI. But it's all little things like that. I mean, making gashes in faces look deeper, just things that you probably would never even notice. But, yeah,
like you said, enhancing what's already there on screen rather than creating it in front of a green screen, which is a lot more obvious when it's green screen work and created from scratch on the hard drive.
Exactly. There's none of that, and there's none of that in part two either. We do the same thing. It's all practical with little tiny enhancements just to make the practicals look better, if anything.
I love it. At what point? So Terrifier comes out in early 2018. It's winter time. It's not even Halloween time, and it comes out. And I remember I got to see it pretty like right around release time. I think the distributor sent a screener, and then it wasn't too long after that it hit Netflix, I think. And it seems to me that's when it really started building this fandom that is there now. At what point, though, did you realize or start thinking that it had hit in a big way, much bigger than the previous films?
Yeah, it was without a doubt. It was when it was on Netflix. Just like seeing him start to pop up in all of these like lists and videos, like Scariest Clowns, and then it's just like he's like beating Pennywise in lists and whatnot. And I'm just like, oh, all right. And then just like the slew of tattoos that come out. I mean, they still people get tattoos. I'm gonna say on a weekly basis at this point. It's wild. It's wild. So just seeing that, and then you start to see some celebrities talking about it and posting things on their Instagram stories and whatnot, and it's like, all right, maybe something's happening here. But without a doubt, it was Netflix. I mean, that it's just the open the floodgates. I mean, everybody in the country has Netflix. So, you know, you see, you know, people just, they saw that face in the horror section. They were like, what's this about? So, yeah.
Awesome. So now, I've got to talk just a little bit about when we met you and David at Mad Monster Party. It was 2019, and specifically, there was that morning that you were applying David's makeup for a photo op, and in the same room we had the late great Sid Haig there getting his Captain Spaulding makeup applied by our friend Megan at Get Dead Crew, and my wife and I, Sue and I, were lucky enough to be there in that room, in that space, as all that was happening that morning. And I don't even know if you can see, but this is us with David that morning, right there. That's from that very morning. And up there, it's out of frame, but I've got a shot of us with Sid from that morning as well. Yeah, that morning we were in the room, and if you remember, you know, you got a very early start, and then as Sid came in, it's kind of like you guys, us, everybody, there was like this hush that fell over the room, and it was just kind of like this, we were all kind of in the presence of this icon that we all love so much. And can you tell me just a little bit about, from your point of view, what that was like? It was certainly very special for myself and Sue and I, but
super special for me. Like a huge fan of the Rob Zombie trilogy. Love Captain Spaulding, love that character. So, you know, we're still just like the new guys, and we're not even sure if like we're worthy to be in the presence of these people, you know. So it's just like, I just wanted to, the whole time I'm doing Dave's makeup, I just want to stop and just talk to him and just ask him a bunch of questions and tell him what a big fan I am and whatnot. So it's so surreal to be doing the makeup alongside of him getting put into that iconic makeup. Is very, very wild. And he was such a sweetheart, such a nice guy. So that, it was great. That was just one of those things I'll never forget that experience. So wild.
Yeah, we won't either. I agree. It was just, like you said, a surreal, special, awesome, unforgettable experience that day.
I just remember, because obviously like Art's makeup takes me like almost 3 hours to put on, and his took, I don't know, half an hour. I just remember him looking at us and being like, I win.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Yep.
That was great. Oh man, good times. All right, moving into Terrifier 2 now. Did you always have an idea to do a sequel or sequels as you were working on Terrifier, or did that come later?
I did, and that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to put the sort of like the wraparound cliffhanger at the end of Terrifier 1, because originally it was just supposed to end with him just shooting himself and being dead. Like, I still knew I wanted to make more, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to just like leave the audience with the notion that it's over, like he's gone. I want them to know that he's like, there's more, there's something still brewing, like he's gonna potentially come back. But I didn't know exactly what the story was, but I knew about after I filmed, was it All Hallows? No, it was before, it was way before. So after I filmed The Ninth Circle, I think I actually tried to make a feature film with Art the Clown. Okay. It was Art and it was basically Rob Zombie's 31. And this was like 2009-ish. So it was Art and these two other demons abducting women. They all wake up in this abandoned place, and the three of them are just hunting them all night. Like, it was another just bare bones kind of crazy movie like that. And the lead protagonist was basically the Sienna character, who is this angel character that you see on the poster of Terrifier 2. So it wasn't, her name wasn't Sienna, and the characters changed drastically, but it was still, the idea was this this final girl dressed as this angel. So I always knew that was my favorite character that I ever wrote. ever. So I knew that character was always there, and I knew one day I was gonna bring that character back and actually finally make a movie with her. So she was like the heart and soul of part 2, and everything just revolves around that character. So I always knew that seed was there. And I wrote it relatively quick when I actually had time to sit down and do nothing but write the script. I think I wrote it in like 3 months. And it just sort of flowed out of me. I mean, it came really, really natural, which is a good thing, I think. So yeah, but no, it's wild. I cannot wait for. I don't think people have any idea what they're in store for. I honestly don't. It's so drastically different than Terrifier 1, but has all the elements that people loved about part 1. But that's just a fraction of what the movie is. Like, we built this whole universe around that element of art just being this slasher. So it's going to be really cool. Really cool.
Oh, it sounds epic. I mean,
yeah. It's pretty epic for the budget that we have. It's ridiculously ambitious, absolutely ambitious. We when we first were shopping it around, because we assumed this movie was gonna probably cost around $1 million. Like, that's how big the script was. I didn't even consider budget when I was writing it. Like, I just wrote as if I was going to have a budget to make Star Wars. Like, whatever, any crazy idea I had, I put it into the script, and then you worry about it later, and then you just chip away when reality sets in. And we took it to this one company that was willing to make it for a nice amount of money, probably somewhere around like $700,000 or whatnot. But they wanted me to like just drastically cut it down. And they wanted me to film it in like 20 days, only 20 days, with like 5 days of pickups for special effects. When I tell you now we're moving into like day 70, I mean, this is like a 2-hour epic movie. It's huge. Yeah. I mean, it just would have never been possible. I can't even imagine what the movie would have been. Plus they wanted me to like just give away the rights to Art the Clown, and I just wasn't. I just wasn't feeling it. So, we had to figure out a way to make it for a fraction of that price. But the miracle is we wound up putting everything that was in the script into the movie. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. So it's all there. We didn't cut anything out, which is wild. I mean, that's one of the reasons why it's taken so long to make the movie. Is because we didn't cut anything out, and because all of these scenes are huge, and we basically just have to stop production and gear up for another big scene. So we'll stop, and I have to build all the effects, and then we have to build sets. I mean, there's so many sets in this movie. It's just it's so big. So yeah, people, I mean, to go from Terrifier 1, when you walk into this, you're going to think you're just stepping into another dimension. I really believe that. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. As if I could be more excited than I already am. I think, I'm even more excited hearing all of that. That's awesome about hearing about the character of Sienna. Because I saw your post when you said in a post that it was a character you had created over a decade ago, and that it was your favorite character you ever created, and that now she's gonna be on the screen in this. Maybe you can talk just a little bit about finding the right actor to play her with Lauren.
Mm-hmm. First of all, let me tell you, Lauren Lavera is she's going to be a star once this movie comes out. I really believe that. Like, she's gone. Like, I'm going to have to call agents to get in touch with her. She is so good in this movie. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. She's such a layered, complex performance. Like, there's so much drama in this movie, but not in a bad way. I mean, I just like, I don't want you to think that it's still not the gritty slasher that Terrifier is, because it really is. But there's so much character development, and there's so much time spent on building this family. It's Sienna, her brother Jonathan, and her mother. They're like this trifecta throughout the movie, and it's like their dynamic as Art's working his way into their world, basically. But Lauren was the only actress. It never came down to like two. It was her, like, immediately. Once I saw her reel and I saw her physicality, and just her audition was just like, immediately I was like, oh my God, like, this is Sienna. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better actress across the board. Just like her range and physically, everything about it was perfect. and she just happens to be like the sweetest, nicest person. I mean, it's just the best working relationship. There's just zero tension, no drama. And I've said this many times. I've worked with a lot of great actors and actresses, like who I'm very close with. Like I love them, but like nobody's ever cared more for a character that I've written, possibly more than I have. Like that's how much she loves the Sienna character. And she just has journals and notes of like the backstory that she created. And she would just call and text me all the time and like asking me like, do you think Sienna does this? What about this? Is this how she feels? Blah, blah. And I'm like, that's like completely irrelevant for me. I mean, but that's amazing that you're digging that deep into the character and that you care that much. I mean, that's a gift to a filmmaker. It's like, oh my God. I mean, you literally just revert back into being a kid, and it's just like, wow, we're really playing and just creating this character. It's like I really feel like the two of us just breathe life into this character. Like she's so well developed. It's yeah, I'm really proud of it. Really proud of the work that she did with it. I'm so excited. That's what I'm most excited for, is for people to see that character, believe it or not.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Man, that sounds great. And yeah, I'm sure she did a great job. Like you said, she's probably going to be, signed up for a Marvel or a DC movie here after Terrifier 2. If this blows up the way Terrifier did.
Yeah, they'd be stupid not to. I mean, she's super talented, and she's a martial artist. I mean, it's like,
wow.
Put all that together, she could totally be in one of these Marvel DC movies, play a superhero. I mean, it's like a no-brainer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you started production, and it was announced in like summer 2019. There was a crowdfunding for that, which more than met its goal that summer. I remember it was up like a few hours, I think, and it like more than met the goal you guys were.
Yeah, we I think we set like a $50,000 goal, and I think in like 2 hours or something, it like hit like 150 or something crazy. Which that was another thing. That was another wake up call, because I keep sort of underplaying, I mean, or just underestimating how popular the movie really is. Mm-hmm. And when you see that, it's like, oh wow, I mean, that's a big deal. It's like we have a really, really strong, supportive fan base. Like they're the best fans ever. So we're so grateful for them. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Dave and I are so like interactive with them. We're constantly talking to fans, and like on Instagram and Facebook all the time. Always hanging out in the Art the Clown Appreciation Society, like all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's so amazing. It's such a gift. But I mean, we so don't want to let them down. That's another reason we're just putting so much. Like this could have been like an easy movie to just sort of, I don't want to say like just like a cash grab, because it's not about money. I mean, it's like, but it's just like, it could have been a safe movie. It's like everybody loves, well, not everybody, but I mean, like he's got a bit of a fan base that they really love what Art the Clown's about. We could have just made this very simple, another by the numbers slasher movie, and just threw it out there real quick. But instead, I'm trying to like transcend the slasher genre and make something that you really haven't seen in a long time. I feel like this is like the closest you're gonna get in modern times to what like Nightmare on Elm Street 3 must have been like when it first came out. It's got to be something crazy like that. So yeah, we're always trying to push it as far as we can and deliver the goods like above and beyond everybody's expectations.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I love that attitude. And I think that's part of why there is such that fan base, is they do get that from you guys, just that you are down to earth and you are interactive with the fans, like you said, whether it's through social media or convention appearances, and I think that comes through. And then ultimately, when you watch a film like Terrifier, it delivers the goods, I mean, whether whatever you're looking for, I mean, it's if you're a horror fan, it's got something for you in there.
Yeah, you'll find something. There's going to be something for everybody in part 2. That's for sure. But again, even if I don't know if there are people who are probably just like diehard fans of part 1 and just love everything about it, who might feel like we strayed maybe too far away from that formula. But I feel like for the most part, everybody's going to appreciate what we did. And even if you're, I mean, you're not going to be able to deny the work. Like the last thing this movie is you'll be able to tell is like us phoning in anything like that. That I could promise. That's the only thing I could promise you is you're not going to walk away just saying like, you're gonna say like, well, these guys fucking tried. I mean, they definitely tried. They definitely swung for the fences. I'll give them that. Like that you're definitely gonna say that.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. I can't wait. Obviously last year, production was affected and delayed and everything because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Now I saw you posted just recently that you're in post-production. You've got about 3/4 of the film edited. Yeah. And you were saying on social media that it's looking like it might be a 2-hour approximately runtime. Can you give us any update on that and where you're at now on the post-production?
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be about 2 hours long. Yeah, because I don't edit like in a linear fashion. I like to just pick scenes that I'm in the mood to see, I'm excited about watching, and I'll just edit them. So the whole movie is just in pieces in different sequences. So I've been editing that way for months now. So whenever I made that announcement, like the night before or something, I was like, let me compile everything that I have so far. Let me put it all in order, and let me see where the hell I'm at. And it's literally like the hour and 31 minutes worth of footage that I have edited so far. And I could just tell with what I have left that there's a decent amount more. Mm-hmm. So I know my first cut's probably going to come in at like 2 hours and 10 minutes. And I'm definitely going to have to trim it down, just trim the fat off of some scenes. But it's going to be 2 hours long. I mean, it's a big movie, but it's not just like 2 hours of filler. Like every piece of the puzzle is like leading up to something. Like every scene, there's no scenes that are just thrown in there that are just like these arbitrary, just meaningless scenes. I mean, scenes could be trimmed, but there aren't a lot of scenes that the movie could do without. They're all like pieces of this puzzle. So again, I don't think it's going to be like a boring long 2 hours. I mean, it's going to move. Like you're constantly learning a story like as it goes, and you're getting these bits of information, and Art the Clown is constantly in this 2 hours. Like we didn't shy away from him. I mean, I don't think the movie goes for more than 6 minutes without him popping up, 7 minutes. Probably the longest stretch is like 7 minutes without him in the whole movie. Nice. So, yeah.
The delays and the pandemic obviously created new challenges. How much filming did you have to come back and kind of piece together after the fact? Because, I mean, you did a lot in 2019, I think, but yeah. You said you've had to come back and do some other filming here and there. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges that you had to deal with getting it done, getting it to this point at least? I mean, and are you done with principal photography now?
Well, what we're doing right now is I'm editing everything, and then I'm gonna see if there's any little inserts that we need or a pickup or whatnot. But it's nothing like devastating to this process. I mean, it's something we could literally shoot in a day or two, and then I could just plug those shots right in. So that's not gonna hurt the process of getting the movie out any faster or whatnot, or any slower. So it's like the whole step of the way, it's just been not having enough time to build everything, because we tried to hire a makeup crew to help me this time, but it fell through like a couple of weeks before we started shooting. Yeah, so then everything fell on our shoulders again. So we had to jump in because all the dominoes were already like set in place. So we had to jump in and start shooting without the special effects, a lot of the special effects being made. So that's why we have to keep constantly stopping, build the effects, and then go shoot that scene and whatnot. So it's been a really difficult process in that regard. But once we got to the pandemic, we were so close. We were like 90% of the way there. There was just like 2 pivotal scenes that we had to go back and shoot. So now that's it. I mean, I have the movie. It's just going to be those little inserts, a few shots here and there that it's like, oh, we need this little thing right here. So, I mean, cool. It's there. It's very close.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is there any idea when we might get another trailer or release date news?
Yeah, I don't want to I don't want to release it. I do want to release another trailer, but I don't want to release it until we know what the release date is. I think it would be perfect, two things to release at the same time. Because again, if I release a trailer, I'm just going to get bombarded with the question, but when is it coming out?
Right.
So, but yeah, we definitely need to make one more sort of, I mean, the first trailer I released was a bit of a teaser. So I think we need to release like a nice 2-minute trailer or something. I mean, there's so much material that we can show. Yeah, I mean, like as soon as it's to a point where it's good enough to start shopping around, it doesn't even have to be polished and finished. But when it's at a point where I feel comfortable shopping it around to distributors and whatnot, I mean, if they want it, I mean, then we'll get the release date, and then I'll announce it immediately. But again, it really depends on the distributor. I mean, if they don't want to take it or they don't want to give us, that's a hard thing with distribution too, is like they don't like paying. It's really hard to get money these days for a movie. So it all has to make sense. It has to make sense to us financially. It has to be a cool platform that it has to get. Because if not, then I want to release it. I want to self-distribute it, and I want to take it around like Kevin Smith did with his roadshow and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think that would be amazing. I think it would be amazing for the fans. I mean, we could do like have the actors come do like Q&A, turn every screening into like a cool event across the country. I think it would be awesome, but we can't just throw the movie out there. It all has to make sense.
Yeah.
So I do hope Netflix takes it.
Yeah.
That would be my ultimate goal. Because you're not going to get in front of more people. I mean, that's the place to be right now, right? So
yeah. You mean like to premiere on there as like
sure,
one of their originals?
Yeah, I would love to just have them take it. Just take, that's where it pops up. Boom, premieres on Netflix, and there it is. The whole country can check it out. Great. But if we have to do this road show, I mean, I'll put my all into that, and that's the avenue we'll explore.
Or maybe both. I mean, again, I could see, again, people like me, we'd watch it on Netflix and then still go see the road show if it came to town or came nearby, or vice versa. We'd go to the road show and then we'd be rewatching it if Netflix picked it up later. Maybe that would, but
yeah, the cool thing is I know that this movie is going to be really fun to watch with an audience.
Yeah. So
I really hope I get to experience that, because there's going to be a lot of screaming and cheering and gagging and like you name it. You're going to get it. You're going to get that reaction.
Awesome. Does it matter to you if it's released around Halloween time, or because Terrifier, the first one, was released in the winter, if I remember right? Is that important to you at all, or doesn't really matter?
Well, let me see. So the first, Terrifier, was released like on streaming and DVD. Yeah, went March, maybe something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
But when it came on Netflix, it was like September, so it was like Halloween season.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a benefit. So I would love for it to come out around Halloween. That's my goal right now.
Yeah.
But it's not necessary. But it definitely couldn't hurt. It could only help the movie. Yeah. That's when people are the most hungry for horror films. You know. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. And obviously, I mean, you've teased it's going to be epic. I guess. Is there any plot details that you haven't mentioned that you could tell us about today, or anything at all? I mean, you mentioned that it's this family, the mother, daughter, and brother, that is really kind of at the center of it.
Yeah.
Are we going to get a little bit more backstory about Art and his origin, or can you say?
You're definitely going to get some. You're definitely going to get some meats. When it comes to Art, you're definitely going to get some information. I'm going to say a lot more doors are opened up in this as opposed to closure, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But we're starting to piece this puzzle together of who and what he is. What I have mentioned already is that Art is, as you can see by the end of part 1, he's resurrected. So the movie picks up right where part 1 leaves off. I mean, they literally just go right into one another. So you see how and by what he was resurrected by, and then this entity, which I can't really talk about, so I call it an entity,
Okay.
becomes sort of his guide and guides him 1 year later, guides him back to the town of Miles County, which is where all the murders took place from part one, and guides him specifically to this family, to Sienna and her brother Jonathan, which I can't say why, but the whole course of the movie is them sort of encountering him and slowly realizing why he's coming after them and what kind of role their characters play in this universe, why he's targeting them specifically. That's pretty much all I can say. And obviously, everybody close to them is in trouble.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah.
So you obviously, you know, we've talked. You're a horror fan. You have been your whole life since you were a kid. Your mom was a horror fan. Now with the hype for this sequel, you know, kind of at a fever pitch, and everybody just ready to see this, and you're putting the kind of finishing touches on it. How does it feel to you knowing that you have now created a modern horror icon that has really just resonated with so many people just around the world?
Oh man, it's surreal. It really is. It doesn't sink in. Man, I don't know. That's so crazy. And so I wonder what my like 6-year-old self would think. I guess subconsciously it's like something I was always sort of driving toward, or something. You know, it's like if you put that much material into your brain, like as I did as a kid with all of these slashers, I mean, just consumed them, like was in love with them, like the way someone idolizes, you know, Batman or Superman or a sports athlete. Like that's the way I literally idolize these killers. I just connected with them on a level, and you know, as a horror fan, it's not like a sadistic level. It's nothing like that. It's something about it's something on a primal level about just conquering fears and whatnot, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, just putting all of that information in and just studying them without even consciously knowing I'm studying them, and what works and what doesn't, and what can be improved upon. And then it's like eventually something had to just come out of me, and it was just Art the Clown. It was just, that's what everything I took, everything I loved, it was all boiled into art, and then just putting my own personal flair on it.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that I created an icon, I mean, is wild. I guess it's a dream. That's a dream come true. It really is. I mean, what else can you ask for? I mean, I'm sure people are going to be dressing up as him and getting tattoos after I'm gone. So I mean, you can't really ask for anything more than that, right?
Yeah.
I just hope we don't disappoint, you know, with moving forward, because I know people really have high expectations, and you could pretty much only go down. That's one of the reasons too why I don't want to make too many of them. You know, people want me to just keep going and make, you know, 10 of them. And as much as I love, you know, part 8s of the other franchises, they do run out of steam, and there's no solid story to tell. I was thinking about this the other day, you know, because I said, somebody asked me a question about that in particular, and I was thinking about like the different trajectories like the Halloween franchise has taken, you know, and now you have like these multiverses, like these multiple dimension characters living 3 different timelines and whatnot. But the original timeline is like to set up these beautiful protagonists like Loomis and Laurie, and to string them along for like 8 movies, and then they just kind of just die off. Like you run out of time. It's like you don't get to, there's no closure with these characters, or it's just like eventually Michael Myers is more important. Let's kill off Laurie Strode. You know what I mean? Like where it becomes like about the money and whatnot. And it's just like, well, what's the whole point? I mean, when you have to one day go back and sit down and watch Halloween 1 to 8, you're going to leave being like, well, what the hell was the point of that whole thing? You know? So I don't want to fall into that trap. Like I want it to be like a solid story.
Right.
But who knows? I mean, like all these other people fall into the trap. I'm sure there's a reason why it happens. So I'm going to try my best to keep it a solid, concise story. But we'll see.
You mentioned some of them, I think, already, but who would you say are your biggest influences? Just in general, it can be from the horror genre or just in general.
Yeah, man. I am influenced across the board by so many figures in all walks of life, like all walks of life. Like you probably would never know this, but like, Bruce Lee is like one of my biggest heroes of all time. Like absolutely love him. But like as a filmmaker, um, listen, I mean, just throw a name out there. I mean, we were already talking about
Mm-hmm.
George Romero, John Carpenter, Wes Craven, Toby Hooper. They're all like heroes. I've studied them. Especially George Romero is probably my favorite out of all those. I feel hearing his story and watching him in interviews and hearing other actors talk about his process and whatnot, I feel like I'm probably the most similar to him, the way that I work and sort of the indie way that I'm making movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I really have a strong love for George Romero. The time when I was getting into like starting to take filmmaking seriously, that was when Quentin Tarantino came out with Pulp Fiction, and he influenced every filmmaker on the planet. So he's one of my biggest heroes. He's one of the only filmmakers, if not the only filmmaker right now, that I will still go to the theater to see every movie he puts out.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've had other filmmakers where I was following that, but at some point they all lost me. Where I was like, I missed that guy, so now I gotta watch it. It's like, but the reason I missed it is because they kind of lost me for a second. A movie they made lost me. Not Tarantino; he's still batting 1,000. So, but Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese was the first director where I noticed a director's style. And I noticed that he was basically starring in his movies without starring in his movies, like just putting his stamp on the shots and all these signature, like literally by being so flashy with the camera. I mean, that's him putting himself in the movies. Like you're gonna be conscious of what I'm doing right now, and I love that. I thought that was cool. That's a kind of a vain thing to do as a director, but it's very cool. So yeah, I mean that endless influences across the board. We could talk about my makeup influences, but yeah, endless.
Awesome. Like I said, you are, I would say, kind of a hero right now to a lot of people in the horror community, especially that are looking to, create their own icon maybe one day, or at least just get a film of their own that they could own and get off the ground. So you mentioned the financing is the hardest part, but what advice could you give to aspiring filmmakers right now based on your experience the last few years?
Yeah, well, I always say, it's cliche, but I always say just really just do it. You just have to. And you know in your heart if you really have what it takes, because you won't do anything else. Like you'll never stop for a day and really have this existential crisis or whatnot. Like you won't have this talk and be like, is it really for me? Like it'll never be serious because you'll know it is for you and there's nothing else you could possibly do with your life. Like, don't get me wrong, like almost every day on set, it's so difficult. And I just say to myself, why the fuck am I doing this? Like to myself, like I'm choosing this. It's so hard. Why am I doing this? But I know deep down inside that I am, as hard as it is, I am doing what I always dreamed about doing. So again, you don't have a choice. If you want it bad enough, like you will make it happen. You will make it happen. And don't have a fallback plan. I always say that, because the minute you do, you'll start steering away from your passion. Like you have to be like stricken with fear into going after that, as if everything's going to fall apart if it doesn't happen. You have to be 100% just focused on that goal. And I really believe you can do it. You can make it happen. I mean, yeah, it's really hard to raise money, very hard to raise money. But at the same time, I feel like it might be easier now, especially with all these Kickstarter, Indiegogo things. I mean, that didn't exist a long time ago. There's always a way, and like things are cheaper now. Like if I couldn't raise money, I would start saving however I could, just work, save up. And once I had about $10,000, I would go and make the craziest thing I could possibly make. I would get cameras. There are amazing cameras that are cheap right now. You can find other crew members who are just as hungry as you are. Mm-hmm. You have all these YouTube tutorials, all this editing equipment. You can learn how to make a movie. But I mean, just study movies. You know, you don't have to go to film school. You should already be obsessed with movies and have been watching them, or else I don't know why the hell you'd want to be a filmmaker. Yeah. But you should know what you need to do to piece a movie together. And then just go and make it. But you have to make something that's going to stand out. That's the key. If you just make a drama with no-name actors and they're just sitting around a table having coffee talking about something, it's probably not going to take off. Mm-hmm. Probably not going to take off for you. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have something brilliant to do with actors talking at a table, but it's just the fact of the matter is like now in today's day and age, I mean, you got to grab people really quick, you know, and just throw something at them that they're not going to get from a Hollywood movie or something on Netflix or something. Like, why are they going to stop and watch your movie when they have so much content out there? You have to do something that's going to stand out. Yeah. And then if you do that and you get their attention, then, you know, 2 movies, 3 movies down the line, you can do your piece where, you know, you have your actors having this, you know, philosophical conversation around a table drinking coffee. You know, then you'll already have your fan base and people will come and listen to what you have to say if you have an interesting voice. But I recommend making something really that's going to stand out.
Awesome. I think they'll take that to heart because, like I said, you are, you know, for many of us, a success story, you know, and of course, looking forward to Terrifier 2. You probably can't see past Terrifier 2 right now, but do you have any idea of future plans after Terrifier 2?
Yes, I want to make, because of finances, I'm sure that it's going to be a lot easier to raise money to make Terrifier 3, if that's something I want to do. Mm-hmm. But my passion project is to make a George Romero type zombie film.
Oh, cool.
I know the market right now is flooded with zombies, but again, I feel like I could do something fresh, whereas where you would have thought like, oh great, a slasher clown, like we've seen that a billion times, but I could do something fresh with it. I feel like I have something to say about the zombie genre, especially because it's my favorite subgenre of the horror genre.
Okay.
Absolutely love zombies. Love Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. Those are like my 2 favorites. So it would be in that world. I already have the script written. I've had it written for years now.
Awesome.
And my dream would be for Sylvester Stallone to be the star of it. That's. I think we need to see him in a zombie movie.
Yeah. Oh my God, that'd be great. Yeah.
So I'm trying. I will do my best.
Oh, I would love to see that. I think it is time to see Stallone in the Leone verse.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean,
that's missing from his soul. I think he needs that hole to be filled.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider at some point taking on one of the other established franchises that are out there? You know, I'm thinking of like a Halloween or an Elm Street or any. Would that be something if it came your way? If the opportunity presented itself, would you take that on?
In a heartbeat. I would kill to do my version of a Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mm-hmm.
Either one of them. I feel like there's so much that could be done.
Yeah.
Especially with Jason. I feel like there's a way to make Jason really, really terrifying, as opposed to just being kind of like the brute slasher, but like making him really scary and intense. I've already had fantasies about what I would do with a Friday the 13th movie. I have scenes in my head that I would do. So who knows? I don't think I'm quite on their radar yet, but maybe one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this rate, they remake a movie every 5 years. So even when I'm 75, I might get a chance to make Friday the 13th, you know, the 8th iteration of it.
That could be. You're right. That's about the schedule they're on right now. Every 5 years or so, it gets a reboot or requel or whatever you want to call it.
We're literally getting. We just got the trailer to Suicide Squad. They just made Suicide Squad 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
here it is again.
Yeah, what's wrong with this picture? Right? But they put a "the" in the beginning of it this time.
That's it. All right.
So
Fair enough.
awesome. Well, this has been great, man.
Great time, man.
This has been awesome. Just a pleasure to get to know more about you and learn more of your story, and yeah, I couldn't be more excited for Terrifier 2. I'm one of the fans, just out there that are just waiting and excited, and
Yeah. And thank you for promoting it all the time too. Dude.
Oh yeah,
that means the world, man. We really, really appreciate that. But you're one of the guys we do not want to let down, man. So that's why we're trying so hard. So I think you'll be happy with it.
Well, I think I will be too. From everything I'm hearing from you today, I'm feeling like you're making all the right decisions, and it's definitely coming from the right place. That's the most obvious thing, and that's the undisputed thing, is that it's all coming from the right place and for the right reasons. I mean, I love that this is not a studio marketing machine that is powering this franchise. It's you. It's you, and you're the heart and soul of it, and so I love that, and I think that's what a lot of fans love too.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it, man. And thank you so much for having me. This was a blast, dude.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you again for taking the time to do this today.
Man, my pleasure. Thank you, Matt. This was awesome.
Huge thank you to Damien for such a fun conversation. I had a great time. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Lots more interviews and exclusive content is on the way. You don't want to miss it. Until then, I'm Matt Arts for Halloween Daily News. Thank you for watching.